it is not a valid record. So I would like to add that condition also. And effect enable flag is equal to y, and any date active should be greater than or equal to should be greater than or equal to should be greater than or equal to sysdate. This is mandatory. Sometimes end date will be in NVL, so null value. That's why I'm handling that one also. Sysdate. Now the record you are getting. What is the column you want to fetch here? This is the column. Now you exactly have the information to whom you want to send. Now this particular logic I will implement in the function. So what is the function you want to use here? The function have to be placed here, right? Go to functions, create a function, assign performer. This is your function name. Okay, apply. Click on apply. Now place your function here. Connect them like this. Here we don't have. Here what we'll do when we kick the workflow, what it will do, the workflow will go to from here to here transition, and whatever the procedure is attached to this particular procedure, particular function name will be executed, then immediately go to the notification. Then it immediately go to the notification. That is your requirement now. So here we have not implemented any procedure, right? Now we will implement that. Now in the notepad we will do it. It is visible to you very clearly. Execute. So create or replace procedure name is XX performer. What are the mandatory parameters for a given procedure if you want to kick it from the workflow? What are the mandatory parameters? One is item type in varchar2, item key in varchar2. Third one is act id in number, and act id, after act id we are having func mode in varchar2, and the third one for last one is result out no copy varchar2. Now we will implement the logic here. To whom you want to assign this value? This guy, the person who is attached this particular attribute to this particular attribute you want to assign. Why? Because this notification have a performer. Performer is performer attribute. That's why we are assigning before going the notification to this particular performer. So here, where it is? Yeah, here I want to implement it. How can I implement? With this logic I can implement it. With this logic I can implement it. And I would like, it is a PL SQL, right? I would like to move it into a local variable called L_performer. Okay, so who is a performer? It is a variable, right? We need to define here, declare here varchar2. You just assume it is 100 characters. Okay, you got the value, and you need to handle it, right? You need to handle exception, right? Exception when others. Then I'm not doing anything here, null. If you don't handle a test, then the workflow will go into the error. Now if you handle it, no issue you will get. Now whom you want to assign? The performer attribute you want to assign, right? So there is a API called, what is the API to assign a particular value into a text attribute? WF engine set item at attr text. Set item attr text is a API. Let me check once. Set item number, set item attr. So this is the API, the procedure, packaged procedure which we need to use to assign the value. So WF engine dot set item text. Here I want to assign value item key, item type, item key, a name means attribute name, and what value you want to assign. This is a value you want to assign. So I told you, I suggested you to take this particular item type. Item type into a local variable varchar 2 item type. It will not be having more than 8 characters, is equal to item type. This item type which is coming into this particular procedure in parameter will go into the local variable. That's it. Similar to that, I'm going to take one more variable called item key. Here item key we will be using item key. Now these two variables I can use here. I can reuse them. Copy. And what is the name of your attribute? Performer. And what is the value you want to assign? This is the value which is stored in the FND lookups. In this way we will assign. Now the procedure is ready for us. Listen carefully. We are assigning the performer value which is coming from the lookup. If you understand this one, then only you will understand result out parameter. Now we are not giving anything. Any result out parameters. Just compile it. Go to this. Take this particular procedure name. Go to your function. Here, call that function. That's it. See here, we are not giving any result type here. Copy. Okay, validate it. Are you getting any issue? So this particular workflow will kick, this particular notification will kick to whom? Performer. Performer means who is the performer? Operations is a performer, right? So the workflow has to kick to whom? It has to kick to whom? Operations. Now let us save it into a database apps wiz. Okay, now what is our item type name? XX function, right? So go to sysadmin. This is a sysadmin. Go to workflow administrator workflow. Go to developer studio. Now your item type is this one, not that one. This is a valid one. Go run. Item key is, and we will handle this item key also in the coming. Here I am not giving the performer, right? A performer is blank. which value has to assign to this particular one. If you want to print it, you can print it. How can you print it? It is not required because it is going to the operations itself. That's why it is not required. Submit. Now it is kicked correctly, right? Now go to status monitor. Try to see the status of that particular workflow before going to check the notification. Here what it is saying, here numerical value error, string buffer too small. You're getting a issue with your package. What is that? String buffer is too long. Okay, here item key is having 8 characters. You just give here 100 characters. It has to be a 360 around, I think. You can check it. Okay, now try to retry it. No issue. Submit. Now check it out whether it is completed. Okay, again it is gone into the activity has no performer. Okay, let us run again. Let us run again because it is fixed now. Let us run it again and see what would happen. 2, 2, submit. Okay, and see the status monitor and see whether workflow is kicked correctly or not. Again, you are getting the issue, that is the activity has no performer. View diagram. See, the activity has no performer. We did some mistake here. Item type again we have used. It must be item key. That is the issue we are getting. That's why this performer is not assigned to this particular one because item key is not correct. That's why we are getting issue. Now if you run it, you will not get any issue. What is your XX? What is your item type? This is item type. Now run it and you give it as 3. Now it will work perfectly. See here. Go to OK and go to status monitor. Place your item type. See here. Earlier both are error. Now it is completed. Means the notification is gone to whom? Operations. Let us see whether it is gone to, whether it is kicked to that person or not. Operations. Yes, you got the notification correctly. Click on OK. Now my point is, when for unknown reasons, if this performer is not assigned, what is happening? It is going into what? It is going into what? Error, right? So I will reproduce it again with, if we have given here item key wrongly, but the code is correct now. For reasons unknown, the user end-dated it. For example, in the go to sysadmin, go to application developer profile, means any form I'm opening. Now go to application, here lookups, query our lookup XX performer. See here, he has not, it is disabled for reasons unknown. He has been disabled. Then see here, will this query returns any value? Check it out. No. So when the user is disabled that one, then what is going to happen? Check it out. Now run the workflow. Go to administrator web application home. See, this is very important to handle workflow in a proper manner. XX function, click on run. What is your item key is IT user key is 4. Now submit it. Now the workflow will go into what state? Error. Check it out. The last one, right? See, this is gone into error. What it is saying, there is no performer to the notification. Why? Because the performer which is coming from the lookup is disabled. So that is not handled properly in your workflow. Then how we would know whether the performer is assigned, correctly or not? Means this statement is fails, it goes to others. I don't want to have the workflow gone into the error. I want to complete it normally, but I I want to handle it properly. How can I handle? Means just check it out, this diagram. I want to have the result for this function also. I want to have result to this function also. If it is yes, then you can send the notification. If it is no, then I will send it to end. Then the workflow will not go into error. Then the workflow is correctly handled in a proper way. Then how would I know whether the performer is assigned or not? By using result out parameter. Now I'll use the result out parameter here. Before that, how can I have yes or no? It is always, if you want to have a direction, if you want to have out result, you should have a lookup. We should have a go to lookup type, create lookup type. Yes, yes, no. Yes, no. This is a lookup type I'm creating. If you want to have a result type, you should have a lookup. That's it. There is no question. Here, yes, I'm having the lookup type with two lookup codes. What are the lookup codes? Yes and no. Click on apply. You are having lookup result type ready, right? Now I will assign that particular result type to whom? To the function also. What I am doing is, after creating this particular workflow lookup type, I am assigning that result type to whom? The function. I'm assigning it to whom? Function. That's it. Now this function have how many transitions? This function have how many transitions? One is yes, one is no. If you have a no, then what it should go to whom? What? When it is yes, notification has to be sent. When it is no, it has to go to end. Then the workflow is correctly handled. Check it out. Then here we need to have one more end, right? To have one more end, go to standard, go to functions. Here you can see end function, which is provided by the Oracle. Now add it, connect them like this. Now see here, go to node, end. That's it. The function is correctly assigned performer, then notification is sent. Otherwise it is go to whom? End. If you don't want to create one more end, yes, you can directly connect to this particular one. In this way also you can connect. No issue. The process you can design in any way. Right? Just validate it, save it, apps, database. It is saved into the database. Now here you are saying that yes, if it is comes, it has to go to this way. If no, it has to go. But in the particular package, also in the package which you have used, in the package or in the procedure which you have developed, have you mentioned anywhere it is going, why it is completed normal, it is completed going in the yes, if it is completed in the it is completed in no? No. With the result out parameters we will decide that result out must be handled here. If this select statement is complete correctly, the performer assigned correctly, that's why after this statement what I am doing is I am writing result out is equal to I am assigning as complete. Complete. What is the result type? Yes, see here, complete is your first result out possible result type. Complete, whatever the result type you are having, yes is there. Internal name of your lookup, what is internal name of your lookup? If it is S means just go to developer mode here. Here you are seeing the display names. Go to this particular one, you can see capital S, capital YES, capital NO. So yes and no you are using. So here also what you need to do is here yes or no you have to use. Complete is a mandatory. Here lookup result, lookup result you need to use. Here you need to use lookup result like this. In some other cases, if the statement is failed, it will go to where exception section. Now the complete is no. This particular procedure will return what? If the performer is assigned correctly, it will complete with it, the result type will be yes. If it is not assigned properly, then it will go to other section, the result type will be no. If the function, this particular function returns no, it will go in this direction. If function returns yes, it will go in this direction and send the notification to the performer, and it will go into the end. Now run this particular package procedure, compile it, compile it. It is completed successfully, compiled successfully, compiled successfully. Now run the workflow. How can I run this particular workflow? See here, if it has to, the performer is end-dated, right? The performer is disabled, right? You are not getting any records. It should traverse in which direction? In which direction? In this direction. If the performer is valid, then it has to traverse in this direction. Is that right? Now let us see. First run the workflow. Submit. You are not giving performer here. Go to status monitor. Give your item key. Sorry, not item key, item type. And here item key. It will open your, so it is completed normally. Go to status diagram, you will see whether it is gone to no or it is gone to yes. Now it is perfect, right? Whether you, the workflow is handled in a proper way, unless you don't know the action which is coming out from the procedure, you can't handle this case. That is the importance of your result out parameter. Now we have completed what? Complete. Out of how many? 5. Out of 5 we will cover only complete, deferred, error. These 3 only we will cover. So for complete, this is a first example. This is the end of the video. Please watch next video for further result out result types. Thanks for watching. Hi friends, in this video we will work on result out parameter. Result out status is deferred. In the last class we have discussed about complete with result out with the complete, without lookups and with lookups, or with result type or without result type. Now we will discuss about the deferred. What is the exact meaning of deferred? Means I want to delay the activity action. See, when you run the workflow, what would happen? When you run the workflow, each and every activity executed one by one in a sequence manner. If it is a notification, unless the approver approves or do the some action, then only the notification will go further, will take further transition. I want to delay a activity to certain date. Means I am performing one functionality. I am updating some table. I want to update the table. Even if it is run today, I want to update it tomorrow. Even the workflow is kicked, whatever you do, it has to be updated tomorrow only. Then we go for deferred. I'm telling strictly, we never use deferred, but we want to know what is how the functionality will be, how the activity will go into the deferred state. Let us see that. First, I want to create a workflow here. Open a WF standard data. So save it as your in your local machine as XX result. What is the name you are having here? Deferred. Okay. Save. Now create a new item type on WSTD XX deferred. x6 result deferred. Apply. Now the new item type is created. Now I want to create a new process, that is x6 result deferred proc, means process. Make sure you are having here run. We will discuss about it in later session, later point. Go to function. I want to create a function here, x6 deferred func. This is for demonstrating how it works. We don't have a function at to, we need to create the function. For this, click on OK. Before that, we will create a process, and I want to have go to standard one, place end, and place start. See, if you want to know, if you want to have exact symbols, then you have to off your developer mode. Then you can see start and end like this. If you want to have the developer mode, just go to view developer mode. Then you can see all functions with the same symbol. Go to view developer mode. Developer mode means it will give all internal names, not the display names. Now I want to place this function here. I want to connect it like this. So here what I'm going to do is I want to defer this particular activity to tomorrow. Even the workflow is started today, I don't want to execute this function today. I want to execute this function tomorrow. I don't want to complete it. Then what I should do is I need to create a function here. What is the function name? Create or replace procedure x6 result deferred. What are the mandatory parameters we have? For a particular procedure, if you want to call it from the workflow, one is item key, item type, in parameter varchar2, item key in varchar2, act id in number, and func mode. We will discuss all func modes in the next coming sessions. Varchar2. Final one is result out. We are working on result out parameter. So now what I want to do here is I want to assign the result out directly. I want to defer this particular activity. Defer means it has to execute tomorrow, even it is 5 today. Then what is the syntax for this one is you need to have a deferred as a status activity result out with the date. The date which today to which date you want to defer this particular activity, that date you need to give, and the date must be in the format of to-char, the date string with this format, or else the date you need to-char date you need to give, that must be in this format. Both are accepted. the date format which you give here must be in this format. So first I will be giving deferred. The date to which you want to defer this particular workflow, that you need to give here. I'm attaching here. Here it is a character type, right? Here you need to give the date. What is the syntax for the date you need to give here is to char. What is the syntax you need to have? This is the format you need to have. And what is the date you want to have? Sys date plus 1 means tomorrow. So this particular activity will be executed tomorrow, even the workflow is run today. We will see whether this particular activity will go into the default state or not. Just execute it. Now successfully executed. Use this particular activity here. Now it has a cost 0. Remember this point. We'll discuss about it. Now your action has been completed. Start. This is end. Validate it. No errors. Save it. Apps wish. Now it is saved into the database. What is your item type? What is your item type? This is your item type. Right? Now go to workflow administrator web applications. Go to developer studio and there give your item type. Then run it. And what is your item key you want to give? 1. Now run it. It is completed. Generally it has to complete from here to here, right? Without that function, without that particular deferred procedure, it has to complete normally. But see whether it is completed or not. Go to status monitor, give your internal name of your workflow, then see it is still active. When you go to activity history, see here what it is saying, deferred. That means it is running in the background. It is running in the background. When it will be completed? When you run workflow background process tomorrow at this time, sysdate plus 1. What is the time? Select select sysdate plus 1 from DL. This is the time. Around 9:49 tomorrow, if the workflow background process is run, then your particular activity will be completed. In this way, we can delay the certain action. We never use this particular result out. Just I want to show you how it is going to be deferred. And if you run the workflow background process tomorrow at this time, go to sysadmin, run request workflow background process. When you run workflow background process, here the process deferred. You need to give here timeout is not required. We will discuss about it later point. What is your XX result deferred? When you run this particular workflow background process tomorrow at 9:42 approximately, then your particular activity will be going into the complete status. Let us see, without having this deferred, without having this deferred, without having this result type, just see, just have one variable a number. I want to have a statement here, a equal to 1. Okay, now have this particular one. Now see, without this particular result out, whether it will be completed normal or not, we can check it with the deferred, without deferred. Xx result, xx, what is your xx deferred? Okay, now run it. It will complete normally now itself. Check it out. Submit it. Okay, go to status monitor, give your workflow name, item internal name. Now see here, it is completed. Why? Because we have not given any deferred status. The result out is not given, that's why it is completed. But for this activity we are specifying that we want to delay this particular activity to tomorrow 9:40 a.m. That's why it is gone into the deferred. Tomorrow at 9:48 or 9:47, if you run this workflow background process, then your workflow will start again. That is the purpose of your deferred result out. But we never use it. Remember this point, we never use it. I have not come across this particular case. What is the actual case we will discuss in the next video. The topic we call it as threshold. This is a very important one, and we will use this threshold for deferring the workflow. We can defer the workflow by using threshold also. We will discuss in the next video very clearly. So what we need to do, once the activity is deferred to background engine, we need to run the workflow background process with what parameters? With what parameters? Deferred as y. With deferred as y. With the process deferred as y. Then all processes at this moment which are in deferred, the eligible records will be, eligible workflow type activities will be kicked again. They will be started again. That is the purpose. This is the end of the video. In the next video, we will work on threshold, which is very important. Thanks for watching. Please watch coming videos. Hi friends, in this video, we will work on threshold. In the last video, we have seen how to defer a activity using result out status called deferred. We can defer a activity by sending result out parameter as deferred, and this deferred can be used for only to defer to a certain date. And is not a best practice. Now we will work on the topic which we use in real time. Threshold is nothing but it is a reference for deferring any activity. It is a reference value to defer any activity. Threshold means it is a packaged variable, that is wf engine dot threshold. It is a packaged variable and its value is 50. Its value is 50. Let us see in the toad whether it is 50 or not. Yes, it is 50. So threshold is nothing but it is a reference for differing any activity. How we will differ means if the activity cost is greater than workflow engine threshold, that is wf engine dot threshold, then the active will be it will go into the deferred status. That will be delayed unless until the workflow background process run for that particular cost. Then only workflow will be initiated again. That particular activity will be completed, will run. If the activity cost is less than the threshold value, that is less than 50, then it will not go into the deferred status. It will execute as per the functionality. What is meant by activity cost? First we will see what is meant by activity. What are the activity will have a cost? Means functions events will have a activity cost. Just go to your workflow builder, open your function, see here cost. It is called activity cost. What is activity cost? You are having 0.00. That means it is having zero cost. And if you open the start button, you are having how much? 0.01. But here what is the default value of the threshold? It is 50. It is a variable value. But if you want to convert this into the cost, activity cost, that must be divided by the 100, that is 0.50. Here it is, this particular start has what is the cost? 0.01. That means 0.01. But the standard one, the workflow wf engine dot threshold is having how much? 0.50. The variable value is 50, but you have to convert into the activity cost by dividing 100. So the default value you can say 0.5. So if this particular activity, you can't change here, right? And you can change for this one. If this particular activity is having more than 0.5, then this particular activity will go into defer status, because the standard one is having how much? 0.50, and your activity is having more than 0.50. That's why your activity will go into the deferred status. The activity cost means the cost which is defined here is having more than 0.5, then the activity will be deferred. If the activity cost is less than 0.5, it will not be deferred. And if you take any standard activity, that is functions provided with the Oracle, they are having the cost by default as 0.01. Standard activities means, go to workflow builder. This is a start button which is provided by whom? Oracle. If you take this one, if you take R, what is the cost you are having? 0.01. So all standard, you take any activity provided by the Oracle, all will have a cost 0.01. 0.01. That is a statement we have given here. So this 0.01 is less than 0.50 only, right? We have converted 50 into 0.5 by 100 activity cost. So this 0.1 is always less than 0.50. Definitely the standard activities will not be deferred. And the custom activity, always it will have a by default 0.00, that is 0. Custom activities means if you want to create, if you have created the function, right? If you have created the function, right, it has zero cost. And if you want to create one more, for example, if you want to create one more, create it. See, what is the cost you are having by default? Zero. For custom activities, custom functions, the activity cost will be zero by default. For standard, for standard one, the activity cost will be always 0.01, which is less than the workflow engine threshold 0.5. Now, how we can defer a particular activity with this, with the help of threshold. So only condition is activity cost must be greater than 0.5. That's it. If the activity cost is greater than 0.5, then it will be deferred. If it is less than, it will not be deferred. That's it. And all deferred activities will be activated once the workflow background process will run. Then only your workflow, then only your activity will be starts. Until that point, it will be delayed. So there are two ways of deferring any activity. One is by changing the activity cost at activity level in the workflow builder, or by changing the WF engine threshold value from 50 to required. Once it is deferred, we need to restore the original. This is the second one. We will see two cases. First, we will see in this video first case by changing the activity cost. What are the activities we are having in this workflow? We have discussed in the last video. This is the first activity, this is the second activity, these are the third activity. Totally three activities we are having, but this particular activity provided by whom? Arkle. So we can't change anything at this particular activity. By default 0.01, but we can change at what? Custom level. If the cost of the activity is greater than 0.5, then it will be deferred. I'm giving 0.52 or 0.53. It is more than 0.5, right? Then this particular activity must be deferred. Now let us try. Now I have changed what? The activity of the custom activity cost have been changed from 0.00 to 0.53, which is greater than the threshold value. Click on OK. If the activity cost is greater than the threshold value, that particular activity will be going into deferred status. Let us try to check that. So what it is saying, the process must contain activity. Okay, this is not the error from this one. I tried to create one more process, so it is not required. Just save as. Save it into the database. See, we are not deferring by using the function with result out parameter. The result out parameter we are not using here. It is not having anything. We are not deferring this activity by using result out parameter. We are deferring the activity through what? By using cost of the activity. The cost of the activity is greater than 0.52, then it will be going into the deferred status. Once the workflow background process run, then it will be activated, it will be completed, it will complete the next action. Next. Okay, we have saved it, right? We have already saved. What is your item type? This is your item type. Go to Developer Studio, Workflow Administrator, Web Applications. Administrator Workflow and Developer Studio. Here, run your workflow. Now see, go to status monitor, give your workflow name, item type, item key is 9. Now see whether it is active or completed. It is still active. See, we are not performing any task here, but still it is active. It should complete immediately. But why it is not completed? Go to your activity. Go to activity history. See here, why where it is deferred. Why it is deferred? The only reason is the cost. Only reason is cost of the activity is cost of this activity is greater than 50. That is 0.5. That is the only reason it has been deferred. Now when it will be run, when you run workflow background process, now go to submit, go to sysadmin, submit workflow background process. Workflow background process. Click on OK. Here, see here. What is item type? We have XX. This is what is item type? What is the item type we have? Go to item type. This is the name we have, right? Here we need not to give the item type actually. We need to give the display name. Then only it will come. Internal name is not required. So here the process which is deferred, that will be picked here. Timeout we will discuss at later point. Now click on OK. Okay, this is the first way of submitting the workflow. Once this particular workflow is completed, now observe here. Observe here. Just click on refresh. Now go to your XX deferred. What is your item type is, item key is 9. Now see here, earlier it is deferred, now it is completed. Go to activity history. Now it is completed. Unless this particular workflow background process is run for the cost greater than 50, that activity will not be completed. So when the activity is deferred, we can say that that particular workflow is running in background. This is very, very important. The workflow background is going to run in the background. The workflow is going to run in the background if the cost of the activity is greater than 50 or 0.50. Now, another way of running the workflow backend process is go to Developer Studio, go to this particular deferred item type, again run it. This is XX deferred 10, and the same item key you use here also. Now run it. Now, what is the activity cost we are having at item level, at activity level in the workflow? 0.53, right? What is the activity cost we are having? 0.53. That means by 100, we into multiply with 100. If you do it, it is a 53. Just go to workflow background process, go to sysadmin, submit the workflow background process. You can submit in this way also, workflow background process. See, if you don't give the item type here, if you give here threshold value 51 to 53, the item cost which are having 51, between 51 and 53, they will be picked by this particular workflow background process. If you don't give your item type, if you don't give threshold value, all workflow activities will be picked by this particular workflow background process. In the first case, we have given the item type. Now what we are giving is minimum and maximum workflow status threshold values we are giving. So the activity which has the cost between 51 and 53, those activities only activated. They will run now. Now click on no. Before that, first we will check the status of this particular workflow, and then you can see whether it is picked or not. Go to this one. It is 10, right? Now see, it is still active and its cost is how much? 53. We have given at this. Go to activity history. You can see here default. So here the cost is how much? 53. The cost is how much? Cost in seconds is 53 seconds. Just go to workflow background process. Now you can give here 53 also. 53 between 53 and 53. Whatever the activities are there, they will be picked. This is a second way of running. You should understand this concept because we are going to schedule the workflow. We need to understand this concept. It is a real case. All activities which have the cost between 53, which have 53, they will be picked by this particular workflow. Not only our workflow, all workflows. Not only our workflow. Just go to your status monitor and check it out whether it is completed or not. And go on. So it is completed. Why? Because its cost is how much? Go to item history. Go to this particular one. So it has 53 cost. So definitely it will be completed. So activity started at 6:59 and activity ended at 6:59. So it when the workflow background process run, it will be started and activities come because we are not performing anything. That particular function executed. That's it. We will see the third way of running the workflow, the parameters. First, before that, we need to run the again workflow, our workflow. Go to XX deferred, click on OK, run XX deferred 11, submit. It is completed. Now go to status monitor, go to internal type, internal name of your workflow. Here give your item key, click on go. Now it is still active. Now the third way of running the workflow background process is, first we have given the item type with process deferred y. Second case, we have not given item type, we have given the minimum threshold value, maximum threshold value, and process deferred as y, and rest are no. Now we will give only process deferred y. Now the workflow activities which are in deferred status, whatever the threshold value is or cost of the activity, they will be picked by this particular workflow. Your workflow is completed. This is the third way of running your workflow background process. Now check it out again, the status. It is completed. In this way, we will work on the cost of, and we will work on the threshold values. In the next video, we will work second case. We will work on the second case. What is the case? By changing the workflow activity threshold from default 50 to required value, again restore the original. This is very important, and we use it regularly, means wherever required. And last point, I want to conclude some point here. If the activity cost is greater than the threshold value, the default is 50, then activity will be in default state. If the activity cost is less than the workflow engine threshold value, then it will not go into the It will not go into the default status. For standard activities, it's always 0.01. For custom activities, it's always default is 0.00. And if the workflow is deferred, workflow activity is deferred, those activities we can say they are running in the background. This is the end of the video. In the next video, we will see second case. Thanks for watching. Please watch next video. Hi friends, in this video we will work on threshold with second case. In the last video we have worked on changing the activity cost, how we can defer a particular activity we have checked. Now we will work on by changing the default threshold value from 50 to required, and then need to restore to original. Means we will change the threshold value to a required value, and that must be less than your cost of your activity. We will see that example. Sometimes we get a requirement that we need to defer the activity before starting the workflow only. The start activity has to be deferred. Means when we run the workflow, I want to defer it. When we run the workflow, where it will start here only, right? This is a function activity. It has how much, what is the cost of the activity. Here you can't change this activity cost, right? You can't change it to the 0.51. So in this case, I want to defer this particular standard one. How can I defer it? The case where you need to defer a standard one, then this case is not possible. We can't change the cost of the standard one. Then in that case, how can I do it? So the only possibility is second case, changing the workflow threshold, workflow activity threshold. We will see. First we'll write the script to kick the workflow from the backend. And as you are aware of how to run a workflow from the backend, right? First one is create process, second one is set owner, third one is run the process, start the process. So we will write again, no problem. Declare, it won't take much time, just give me 2 minutes. Declare begin and wf engine dot create process. Just click on F4. You will get the parameters. You need not to remember anything. Copy the parameters and paste here. And what is the next procedure, next package procedure we need to call here to run the workflow? We can set the owner. I am not setting any owner here. Wf engine dot start process. Here just click on F4 for knowing the parameters. I know the parameters. Item type and item type is the first parameter. Item key is the second parameter. So what is your item type? Go to item type, which we have developed in the last video. Go to item type. This is your item type, right? So this is your item type. And what is your item key you want to give here? I want to start from 30. I want to start from 30. And what is your process name? Go to your process. Go to properties. You will see the process name. This is your process name. I'm giving here process name. And user key is the same as your item key. And owner role, I'm not giving anything. It is not required also. Completed. First is completed, and the second one is also completed. Right now, what is the requirement is I want to defer the start process. I want to defer a standard process, standard, but I want to defer a standard function. I'm taking the start function itself as a standard function. I want to defer this one. How can I defer this one? So what is the cost of your activity? This activity 0.01. 0.01. If you have a threshold value 0.00, then we can defer it, right? Because the threshold value is 0 and the cost of the this particular activity is 0.01, which is greater than your threshold value. Even we are resetting it, the threshold value, if any time the threshold value, if the activity cost is greater than threshold value, that particular activity will go into the deferred activity. That's it. That is the thumb rule. And here we are having 0.01 as a cost of this particular activity. So less than this one means we should have a 0, we should have a -1. So it is a standard practice that we used to give -1, because the -1 is less than your or 0.01. You can give 0 also, no problem. So before giving the threshold value, you just take one value called threshold local value, threshold value, which is a number. You take this, you just define this one. You just go to, you just assign wf engine dot threshold. You need to assign like this. You need to take the backup of your original value of your threshold. Once you do it, then the reset it. To which value you can reset? To 0 you can reset, or to -1 you can reset, or to -2 you can reset. Anything you can reset. That must be less than your 0.01. That's it. So how can I reset it? By 0 or -1. -1 is the best practice. So I am using here -1. Once it is completed, once the create process is completed, once the start process is completed, your workflow for this particular item key will be default state. Now what we need to do? This particular the threshold value must be restored. Must be restored. Must be restored. That is what I have told you here. Here, what is the point? By changing the workflow activity threshold value from 50 to required, and then need to restore to the original. This is a very important point. Otherwise, you'll get other complications, which I am not going to cover here. So this has to be assigned back. So the threshold value is restored now. Clear? Now, when you run this particular workflow, let us see whether the start function will differ or not. Go to workflow background process, go to workflow administrator web application responsibility, go to status monitor, give your function name or item name, then see here you're having 21, right? What is your item key? You have given here 30. So it is not kicked. It is not kicked. Just commit it, then you will see. See here, this is active. What is our item key? 30. So click on select this particular item key, activity history. See here where it is deferred. At start only deferred. Why? Because the start activity have 0.01 and the threshold value is 0.1. So whenever the item cost, the activity cost is greater than threshold value, then that will be going into the deferred state. Once you click activity, see what is your cost? 1. The status is deferred. Just now, if I want to start this workflow, what should I do? Go to this particular workflow background process, click on submit, Here give y, here not required, and xx result. Click on OK. And then once it is completed, check it out your status of your workflow. Item key is 30, right? So see here, it is still in default, but it is moved from where? Start activity. It is moved from where? Start activity. So let me do one thing. I want to save it in the database once. Apps. I have modified the workflow for some other cases. Now I want to run it again. 31. Now click on OK. Commit. Now see whether it is kicked or not correctly. Default. See here, go to activity history. See here, it is still here only. Again, it is deferred at start only. Now go to SRS, submit your workflow background process like this. Item type is this one, and see your workflow background process will start the activity or not. It will start and it will go to end or not. Check it out. Go to deferred. See, still yes, 30 is completed, but 31 is not completed. Let us see why it is so. Why it is in default status? See here, what is the cost of this particular one? What is the cost? 53. 53 is more than 50 or not? That's why it is again deferred. If you run again workflow background process, it will deferred in the sense you will pause your workflow for some time until your workflow background process runs. That particular activity will not be started. See, start date is there, but completed date is not there. So once you run it, workflow background process, once it is completed, now see, go to status monitor, check it out here. See, all are complete. 31 also completed. In this way, we can defer a particular workflow from the backend by setting the threshold value to a lower value than the activity cost. Again, then we need to reset it. In the next video, we will see how to defer a workflow by using standard function. That is not required, but you can use it whenever required. And this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Hi friends, in this video session, we will see the third way of deferring an activity. We can defer an activity by using the standard function. The Oracle provided a standard function. With that function also, we can defer a workflow. Let us try to discuss with that option. Go to your workflow, go to standard, go to functions, and see here, you will see deferred thread. Defer thread. This is the one which we are going to use in your process. In the last video, what we have done is we are changing the threshold value. We are changing the threshold value from 50 to -1. Okay, I don't want to do this particular one. When the workflow is run, it is kicked after immediate start, before starting any other activities. The start activity will not perform any task, right? So before performing any other task in the workflow, I want to defer the workflow. That is my requirement. How can you defer it? Take your defer function from the standard one. Just attach like this. That's it. What this particular defer function will give you the cost of the workflow, the cost of this particular deferred one is greater than your threshold value, greater than your threshold value. That is the reason why it is going to differ at this point only. We will see. Just drag and drop your defer thread from standard functions to the process where we are connecting all our custom activities. Now I'm removing our cost which we have given in the last videos in this particular function. Now we are going to see whether it is going to work or not. When the workflow is started, it will go till this particular function and it will defer. That's it. It will not execute this one until the workflow background process is run. This is the other way of deferring your workflow. Okay, just validate it. Any errors? No errors. Go to file, save as, database, apps. This. Now the workflow is successfully saved into your database. Now run the workflow. Now I have moved this particular. I have commented the threshold statements. We are not changing anything threshold values. Now I'm running it. Now change the item key as 32 because we already used the 31, 32. Now then run and commit. Now let us open your workflow administrator web applications. Go to status monitor and see where we are. Go to workflow administrator web applications, administrator workflow, developer studio. Go to status monitor. What is your item type and what is your item key is 31. We will open it and see it is completed. Nope, it should not complete. So let's see, just click on OK now. Yeah, your item key is 32, right? When you submit this particular workflow from backend, the item key you have given here is 32, user key is 31. Okay, so now open it. Yes, you can see here. Go to action history. Now see when it is deferred. It is deferred before starting only. This is a third way of deferring the activity. Now when it will be completed, normally when it will be started again, when you run workflow background process from the sysadmin. You can run it from any responsibility to which it is attached. So when you run workflow background process, go to sysadmin and go to view request, submit request, workflow background process. Click on Y, here no, and the item type is exec_r. And let us see, once it is completed, you need to go to your workflow administrator applications, go to status monitor, open your item type. Now see, the 32 is your item key, it is completed. Just see. So in this way, see here, we have gone through deferred thread. At start only it has been deferred. So three methods we have seen, but how to select which method we need to adopt? The first method is we are not going to change anything at workflow level because the workflow will work for entire business. It might change the cost. So for that reason, we should not change the cost at the activity level. We should not change the we should not change the cost of your active. We should not change at activity level. Only thing is the second one or third one. So in that case, if you want to change the default status as per as per your logic, then we are going to use the second case. Based on your logic, we will in an activity we will change the threshold value to the less than your activity. Then we can defer the any activity as per your logic. And third one is if you want to defer literally when the transition comes to its position, then we go for third one. What does it mean? Means if you want to use it after this action, if you want to use it after this action, yes, you can use it after this action. Literally, it will differ. That's it. It won't do any action. It will differ. If the transition come here, it will differ. That's it. It differs the workflow activity. It will stops. So we can use anywhere as per your requirement. I'm reconnecting it. What is that activity thread? Yeah, this is the activity. Okay, in this way we work on. This is the end of the video. In the next video, we will work on the func modes. And result type error we will discuss after func modes because the result type error is going to use in notifications. This is going to be used in the notifications, not in the activity level, in order to display the error message. So far we have covered complete, deferred, and we are going to work on error after completion of func modes. And the notified and waiting we will not use and we will not explain. This is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Please watch coming video.